everyone, I'm Amethyst, and welcome to this week's episode of Ask an Autistic.
I want a renaissance to shine a light, be the change we want, set things right. We've been waiting in the dark for so long.
Today's topic, special interests. A special interest is a very focused or narrow area of study, or it's a subject, or it's a thing that an autistic person feels very passionately about and loves very much. Autistic people will often collect information related to their special interests and organize it in lists or graphs or charts or collections. But that's not a requirement for something to be a special interest. Special interests are a part of being autistic that is really more of a difference or a difference in neurotype than a disability. Some autistic people may have one special interest throughout their whole life. Many autistic people have multiple special interests, or they may have a primary special interest and then secondary or tertiary special interests that come and go as their interests come and go. For example, when I was a small child, my primary special interest was ancient Egypt. Everything about ancient Egyptian culture and religion and mythology fascinated me. If there was a book about ancient Egypt, I had to have it. I saw all the documentaries. I went to the ancient Egypt IMAX 2 or 3 times. So ancient Egypt was it for me. But a lot of people often experience that their primary special interest will change over time. For myself, when I turned about 12, ancient Egypt was kind of put on the back burner, and my new primary special interest, an interest that remains to be my primary special interest to this day, was the X-Men. I always really liked the X-Men. I would watch the cartoon when I was a kid. You know, the 90s one was a cool theme song. And I read a comic here or there, but I never really got into it until middle school. But when I did, wow. I know that a lot of autistic people can relate to stories like the X-Men and Spider-Man because they're fundamentally about people who feel different and the others in society. And I know it was definitely that way for me. So once X-Men was my special interest, I needed to know everything about X-Men. And of course, I wanted all of the X-Men paraphernalia that I could get my hands on. My mom has always been very supportive of whatever my special interest is at the time, and I love her for that. Because even if she doesn't really get superheroes or get X-Men, she started buying me comics for Christmas, and she would let me talk at her about X-Men and my special interests, and she even watched 1 or 2 of the movies with me. So thanks for that, Mom, for always supporting my special interests. Now, a kind of troubling behavior that I see in non-autistic parents of autistic children is an attempt to kind of suppress or stamp out or change the topic of an autistic child's special interest. When it comes to special interests themselves, they are not harmful in any way. Sadly, when it comes to autism and autistic people, non-autistic and neurotypical scientists and researchers and doctors tend to take a really negative approach to autism and the autistic neurotype and what it means to be autistic. You could frame the concept of special interests in a positive or a neutral way, such as autistic people might have very focused areas of special interest and they like to indulge in them and share these areas of interest with others. But instead, researchers and scientists and doctors tend to pathologize special interests, even though it's not something inherently negative, harmful, or bad. Special interests are sometimes referred to as obsessions or fixations. Those are just words, but they have a lot of negative connotations. And for parents who have been taught that any form of autistic behavior is different, so it's bad and it has to be stamped out, making special interests sound like an obsession or a fixation makes parents want to stop it. And that's really not a good thing. If a non-autistic child is really into horses, and she goes riding on the weekends, and she reads all these book series with horses in them, and all her favorite clothes have horses on them, that's just passion. She really likes horses, and it's totally acceptable and fine. But as soon as it's an autistic person, it's different for some reason, because autistic people are different. Contributing to this is the fact that Sometimes an autistic person's special interest won't make sense to the neurotypical people around them. Or an autistic person's special interest might be what a non-autistic person wouldn't consider age appropriate. So if an autistic adult has a special interest that is, say, something like the Care Bears or coloring in a picture book, it's not hurting anyone, but it has the potential to make more closed-minded people feel uncomfortable because, again, it's not age appropriate. Who cares if an autistic person's special interest is technically age appropriate or if it makes you a little uncomfortable, if it makes them happy? And after all, it is their life, right? When it comes to autistic children, parents ask me, when do I stop it? What's the limit? And to that I say, has your autistic child eaten their dinner, done their homework, taken a bath? In that case, let them indulge in their special interests. The reason that it's so important for parents to allow and even encourage their autistic children's special interests is because special interests aren't just a topic or a subject or a thing that we feel very passionately about and that we love. It is also a kind of coping mechanism. Michael from Mr. Snail's Wild Ride put it very well when he said that the world just doesn't make sense to autistic people. It's confusing and baffling and arbitrary. And after a long day of battling through a neurotypical world that, quite frankly, isn't made for you and doesn't really cater to your needs, indulging in a special interest can be a kind of release. It can be an escape. It's peaceful, it's enjoyable, and it often actually rejuvenates autistic people, allows us to spend time alone with the things that we love and feel very passionate about, and to recharge. Because in a world that doesn't make sense to you, you need something that does to hold on to, and those are our special interests. That can kind of explain why, when it comes to special interests, a lot of autistic people like to catalog and list and categorize and organize things related to their special interest. Again, because the world isn't neatly organized and categorized, and it can be very hard for us to make sense of, even as children. But having a special interest that we can know everything about and that we can organize neatly and understand thoroughly, it's a very peaceful and relaxing feeling. And I love my special interests. And engaging in my special interests rejuvenates me and centers me, and it makes me feel so happy. And when I'm doing my special interest, my mind is so calm because I'm focused on one thing, and that one thing that I love fills out my whole head. Some people will try to defend special interests by pointing out how an autistic person's area of passion or study may become a career later on. And I'm sure that this is true of many autistic people, and that if you're into marine biology or horses or computer programming, then yes, those special interests can become a career for you later on. But special interests and other autistic traits don't need to have a higher purpose or an end goal to be worthwhile. Neurotypical people do things that they enjoy just because they enjoy them, and special interests are the same way. So whether or not your autistic child or an autistic person's special interests lead them to a career in that field, special interests are worth supporting and encouraging and cultivating just for the sheer pleasure of it. Special interests aren't just something that autistic people feel passionately about, although that, is part of it. They are also a kind of anchor for us, and just a part of our neurotype. That is how we enjoy things, very focused and very passionately. So if you're a parent of an autistic child, please do not try to stamp out or suppress your child's special interest. All that does is leave them without a very enjoyable and healthy method of escape and of anchoring and of centering oneself. And just because an autistic child enjoys things differently or in a different way than a non-autistic child doesn't mean that the autistic way is wrong. It's just different. As long as it's not hurting anybody, the autistic child included, please do not discourage your child's special interests. If you would like to comment with what your current special interests are, please do. And if you like this video, please do thumbs up and feel free to subscribe for more Ask an Autistic. Thank you all for watching this episode.
I want a renaissance to shine a light, be the change we want, set things right. We've been waiting in the dark for so long.